everyone, welcome back to GK Today. I'm Nuzhat Sana and in this video I'll discuss today's top current and static general studies questions for UPSC Prelims Examination 2022 onwards. And these questions are framed keeping in view both the factual as well as analytical aspects of UPSC Prelims exam. Also, I would like to inform you that these questions are part of GK Today's UPSC Prelims test series, which is available in GK Today Android app. And the test series for 2022 Prelims examination comprises total of 7500 questions, divided 2500 questions on current general studies and 5000 questions on static general studies. And the series has started from May 2021 and it will end with UPSC Prelims Examinations 2022. So if you wish to access all questions of GK Today UPSC Prelims test series, you may subscribe the test series in the app. So now without wasting any further time, let's get started.
So today this is our 25th lecture and now let's start. Question number 1. What efforts have been made by the Government of India to boost the use of electric vehicles? So as we know that various initiatives have been taken by our government to increase the use of electric vehicles, and for this 3 statements have been given and we have to select which of them are correct. First statement says, a national mission has been launched to promote electric vehicles. So yes, this NEMMP, or you can say the National Electric Mobility Mission Plan, was launched in the year 2013 and it set a goal of setting 6 to 7 million hybrid or electric vehicle from 2020 onwards. Also another scheme named as FAME, or you can say Faster Adoption and Manufacturing of Hybrid and Electric Vehicle scheme under the Department of Heavy Industries, which comes under Ministry of Heavy Industries and Public Enterprises, was launched in the year 2015 to support electric vehicle market. So yes, we can say that national missions have been launched to promote electric vehicles. Now second statement says, a new section was added in the Income Tax Act to provide tax incentives on electric vehicle purchase by the individuals. So yes, in the Income Tax Act, a new section 80EEB has been introduced that allows a deduction for interest paid on loan taken for the purchase of electric vehicles from financial year 2020 to 21 onwards. So this is also correct. And last statement says, electric vehicle cells are included in the production linked incentive scheme. So recently the government has approved 18,000 crore Indian rupees production linked incentive scheme for EV cells, and the scheme will enable the domestic manufacturing of ACC cells, which will basically help the EV sector. So actually all the statements are right here. Correct answer becomes all 1, 2 and 3. Now why EV was in news? Because the Union Cabinet has approved setting up of a national mission on transformative mobility and battery storage to promote clean, connected, shared, sustainable and holistic mobility initiatives. And talking about electric vehicles, what are these? Actually it uses one or more electric motors for propulsion and it may be powered through self-contained battery, solar panels or an electric generator to convert fuel to electricity. Okay, now what are the needs of these EVs? So various reasons are there. First of all, the reason is climate change. We have to save our climate. Then second is due to rapid urbanization, we have to take this step. And third is we have to secure and safeguard our energy as well. Then fourth is it would be a new innovation. Fifth is employment will increase in renewable energy sector. Sixth is clean and low carbon energy, with the help of which we can control our global warming, and many other reasons are there. Okay. Now next question, with reference to the Government of India opening up of coal mining to private players and foreign players, which of the following is our correct statements? Why we have taken this question? Because recently Parliament has passed Mineral Laws Amendment Bill 2020 and this bill replaces the Ordinance for Amendment of Mines and Minerals Act 1957, which basically regulates overall mining sector in India, and Coal Mines Act of 2015, which regulates the mines whose allocation were cancelled by Supreme Court in the year 2014. So now the bill is expected to open a new era in Indian coal and mining sector, especially to promote ease of doing business. Now first statement says, legislation was amended to remove captive and use criteria for private mining companies. So yes, actually in the year 2020, the government opened up coal mines for commercial mining after 8 years, and this followed the promulgation of Mineral Laws Ordinance 2020 that removed the captive and use criteria for private mining companies. So this is correct. Second statement says 100% FDI has been allowed under automatic route for coal mining activities. Actually, the FDI policy of 2017 was amended to allow 100% foreign direct investment under automatic route for coal mining activities, and this includes investment in processing infrastructure. So this is also correct. And last statement says no government route necessary for FDI in commercial mining. No, this is not correct. Why? Because FDI in commercial mining from an entity of a country with which India shares a border is only allowed through government route. So everyone is not allowed in this route, okay? So we cannot say third statement, and right answer becomes only 1 and 2. Now next question, which of the following tribunals have been abolished via the Tribunals Reforms Ordinance 2021? First of all, it was in news because the Tribunals Reform Ordinance 2021 has been passed, through which appellate authorities under 9 laws have been replaced with high courts. And the ordinance has amended the Finance Act of 2017. So now it includes provisions related to the composition of selection committees, etc. And what was the Finance Act of 2017? It basically empowers the central government to notify the rules on qualification of member, term and condition of their service, etc. And what you understand with the term tribunals? What are basically tribunals? These are actually quasi-judicial institutions that has been set to deal with the problems such as resolving administrative or tax related disputes. Now let's see the options. First is Film Certification Appellate Tribunal or FCAT. This was one of the tribunals that has been abolished under 2021 ordinance, and it was an appellate tribunal under the Cinematograph Act of 1952. Then second is Intellectual Property Appellate Board. This has also been abolished by the ordinance, and it was established in the year 2003 to deal with the cases regarding copyrights, patents, trademarks, geographical indications, etc. Then third is Airport Appellate Tribunal. It was actually constituted under the Airports Authority of India Act 1994, and now it has also been abolished. And now last is Plant Varieties Protection Appellate Tribunal. This was set up under the Protection of Plant Varieties and Farmers' Right Act 2001, and now it has also been abolished. Correct answer is all 1, 2, 3 and 4. Actually the laws that have been replaced are, first is Cinematograph Act of 1952, second is Trademarks Act of 1957, then Copyright Act of 1957, then fourth is Customs Act of 1962, then Patents Act of 1970, then Airports Authority of India Act 1994, then Control of National Highways Act 2002, and Geographical Indication of Goods Act. Okay. Now next question, with reference to the Constitution of India, consider the following statements. So regarding election commissioners and Chief Justice of India, 2 statements have been given, and we have to see which of them are correct. First is, Constitution does not provide the conditions of service and tenure of office for election commissioners. Actually India has a 3-member election commission, and these all are appointed by the President for a term which is fixed by the President itself. However, conditions of service and tenure of office of the Chief Election Commissioner and other election commissioner are determined by an Act of Parliament titled as Chief Election Commissioner Act of 1991. So this act has fixed the following thing. First of all, the Chief Election Commissioner and other commissioners are paid a salary equal to the salary of Judge of Supreme Court, and on retirement they are entitled to a pension payable to a Judge of Supreme Court. Then all business of the Election Commission shall be transacted unanimously, and if the Chief Election Commissioner and other election commissioners differ in opinion on any matter, then such a matter shall be decided according to the opinion of majority. Okay, so yes, this is correct. And second statement says, Constitution provides the process and method of succession of Chief Justice of India. Actually, the Chief Justice of India is also appointed by our President, and he or she remains in office till the age of 65 years. Also, the outgoing Chief Justice of India recommends the successor, and this recommendation is forwarded to the Prime Minister by Union Law Minister. The Prime Minister then advises the President to do so, and later the President appoints the new Chief Justice of India. So this is wrong. We cannot say that the Constitution has not given any criteria for the process and method of succession of Chief Justice of India. Correct answer is only 1. Now last question. With reference to the base effect in economy, which of the following is our correct statements? For that we have to understand what is base effect. Actually, it is distortion in the monthly inflation figure, and this distortion is due to an abnormally high or low inflation level in the same month of the previous year. So basically the base effect refers to the impact of rise in price level, or simply you can say that it refers to tendency of small change from a low initial amount to the current amount, which is translated into a large percentage and appears as large. Now for example, if the inflation rate was too low in the previous year, in the corresponding month, even a small increase in price index will lead to a very high inflation rate. Also, if the price index in the previous year had increased at a high rate and led to a high inflation rate, then even a similar increase in the price index in the current year will show up as a low inflation rate. Thus, basically base effects makes accurate long-term assessment of inflation levels difficult. So this effect diminishes over time when the inflation levels are relatively unchanging. Now first statement is, base effect helps to make accurate long-term assessment of inflation. Actually, it does not help in making the assessment accurate and easy, rather it makes it difficult. So this is wrong. And second statement says, base effect diminishes over time when the inflation levels are relatively unchanging. This is absolutely right, and correct answer becomes only 2. So that's it for today. I hope you have liked this session. If you want to give any review, feedback or suggestion regarding these lectures, you can tell us in the comment section. Definitely we will try to implement that. And now we'll meet again tomorrow with 5 more new interesting questions. Till then, stay tuned. Thank you so much for watching, and please do not forget to subscribe to GK Today. With this, me Nusrat Sana signing off.